So that's the first definition of love. The second definition of love, if you ever went onto JHAH.com, which is the biggest Jewish website in the world, most popular, about 1.5 million people go on a month, there was an article about 2-3 months ago by David Weiss, who is the screenwriter for Shrek 2. He happens to be a Baal Tshuva, and he's a terrific guy. I actually spoke in England. He was on the same thing, conference he was speaking at. I met him and his son. So he wrote in this article, he said the whole theme of Shrek 2, he said he learned from his rabbi, who learned from his rabbi, who I learned from, Rabbi Noach Orlowek, who said love is what's important to you is important to me. That's love. What's important to you is important to me. He would go into the writers' meetings of Shrek 2, and he would say, this is what the Bible says, and this is the whole theme, and let's not forget it, and it was running through the whole movie. What's important to you is important to me. So I learned this by being raised by my parents. My parents, they live in Toronto, and my parents are very different people. Okay, so how can you get a sense of how different they are? So my mother's idea of a great vacation is backpacking in Nepal on 24 hours notice. She's 72, okay? I'm telling you, she'd be like, I'm there. My father's idea of a great vacation is an air-conditioned bus tour of Miami that he'd been planning for 6 months. Very different people, okay? Got it? Okay. I'm an interesting combination, actually, of my parents. So, they taught me what love is. My mother, she loves the arts, and my father loves sports. So what do? They have a subscription to the Toronto Symphony, and every month they go, and they sit there, and my father holds my mother's hand and tries not to fall asleep. All right? My father likes sports, so they have season's tickets to the Toronto Maple Leafs, which obviously they didn't use this season, and they sat there, and my mother goes to the games with my father, and she holds his hand, and she tries to pretend this is not stupid. All right? That's love, because love is what's important to you is important to me. I have a son, one of my kids, my son, his name is Moshe. He's 11, and Moshe is he's my jock, right? He's into sports, and he's big into basketball. Denver is a big sports town, major sports town. When we first moved there, my husband told me, he says, when you get up to speak, don't make fun of their sports teams. They take it very seriously. All right? There's big sports town. So the Nuggets are very big there. So he's very into that. So we don't have a television. So when I travel, he listens to all the games on the radio. When I travel and I'm in a hotel, I turn on ESPN. Why am I watching ESPN? Do I care about basketball? Tall black people in their underwear? Okay? Lots of money? Okay, I just don't get it. All right? But I come home and I tell my Moshe, I saw Shaq. His neck is like this, okay? And I saw Kobe and all the tattoos. And I saw the mailman. You know why they call him the mailman? Because he delivers. Okay, they all have these like nicknames, okay? All right? So I'm up on this stuff, right? And I'm sitting there, and my Moshe, when I'm telling him these stories, my Moshe's eyes light up. Why? He knows I think this is stupid. But he knows that I'm watching ESPN because I love him. I love my Moshe. You hear? Love is what's important to you is important to me because I love you. All right. The third definition of love, Rabbi Dessler asks in his work Strive for Truth, which is a classic work, it asks the philosophical question, does loving lead to giving, or does giving lead to loving? I feel love for you, so I give to you, or the more I give to you, the more I love. And the Jewish answer is, the more you give, the more you love. Don't wait to feel love and then give. Give, and that will bring love. Again, you see this with children. In the animal kingdom, God made everything happen a certain way. In the animal kingdom, you have like this animal, and the animal, this deer, a little shaky, has a life, okay, very quickly. Well, I remember when they handed me my first child in the hospital, Shoshana, I was completely overwhelmed at how helpless she was. She was so helpless. She couldn't do anything on her own. She couldn't turn over on her own. She couldn't burp on her own. She couldn't feed on her own. She couldn't clean up on her own. She couldn't do anything. I'm not one of those people that they hand me my baby in the hospital. I'm like, oh no. There are people like that, all right, in the world. So I have these cesareans, I have these high-tech, high-risk pregnancies, and I don't feel like I'm in love. I feel like, take this baby away, because this was the cause of all this pain and trauma. And after a while, though, you see that day and night, you're forced to take care of this baby. Force. I remember this a few months ago. My husband had a hernia operation, okay? And they were prepping him, and I was standing there smiling. And he says, "Why are you smiling?" I go, "Yanko, they're going to go through your belly button, and they're going to fix your hernia, and you're going to come home, and I'm going to wait on you, okay?" I said, "Yanko, 5 kids, 4 cesareans. They cut me open, took out my guts, took out the baby, put my guts back in, gave me a baby to take care of 24/7, all right? What's hard to feel sorry for you, okay?" And I would hear upstairs, you get to the bed, you'd hear, I'm like, right? Okay. So you see that you're forced, that God makes it, these babies are completely helpless, because you're forced to give. And you give and you give and you give. And what do you get back for the first few months? Sleepless nights, diarrhea down your front, and throw up down your back. All right? And you love this baby more than life itself. You would throw yourself in front of a truck for this thing. All right? Why? Because you're giving and giving and giving. And giving leads to loving. It works with spouses. You want to love each other more? You want to love your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife? Be a giver. And unless, God forbid, you are in an abusive situation, don't worry about getting. Because if you're in giving mode, and you create an environment of giving, it's contagious. It's contagious. We're giving. That's what we are. We're givers. You really see that. Sometimes I'll really get into the zone of being a giver, and, my husband, and I'll say, "Do you want a cup of coffee? Do you want a cup of tea?" Like when he comes home, and really being. And I noticed that within 48 hours, he's doing the same thing. "Oh, I'm making a tea. Do you want one as well?" You create an environment. This is who we are. We're givers. The more you give, the more you love. All right. In my dating workshop that I give,